First item on the agenda is roll call. Commissioner McCurdy's absent. Commissioner Genfold?
Here.
Commissioner Carroll?
Here.
Commissioner Yanez?
Here.
We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is public comment. Phyllis Daugherty, please come to the table.
You have a speaker.
Come on down.
Phyllis Daugherty with the Animal Issues Movement. Well, you'll all be happy to know that Commissioner Riordan is doing very well. As a matter of fact, she's on the radio this morning and has been invited back. So, and there's been a letter in the Daily News every day, and there are a couple of more articles that are already are going to be done. So she's doing well, in case anyone was concerned. You don't have to worry about her. Unfortunately, the ones we have to worry about are you, because I lied to you last time I was here. I told you were not puppets of the mayor. And obviously I was really wrong, because that's what happens when you don't do what the mayor wants you to do. So I hope that as these various items that are going to be attempted to be passed, which was the reason for getting rid of Ms. Riordan, and you don't understand them, not because you're not intelligent enough or you couldn't understand them, but you don't have the experience, and you're not going to be able to look at the big picture of the overall impact. I remember when I was really new at this, there were some things that came up, and I look back and wish that I had not supported them because I didn't understand the whole impact. So I hope that when things come up now, you'll be overly suspicious of them, and that you will get out and do research from people that disagree as well as people that agree, because this an appointment by Via Rigosa, is not worth selling your soul for. And it's certainly not worth selling the animals out. And I don't want you to have to look back in the future and see how much damage you've done, not only to them, but to the people of this city. What we need to do is approach the source of this problem with administrative citations, with tough spay and neuter, and stop the animals from coming into the shelter. We cannot adopt our way or rescue our way out of this problem. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm pretty new, actually, for people that are doing animal work. But I did start in spay neuter immediately and started doing films on early spay and neuter immediately when I first started. So I've seen what's happened over the last 20 years. We aren't getting where we should be because, unfortunately, industries have built up within the humane movement where people are being supported and I want to make sure you know I'm not talking about HSUS. HSUS is the only organization that really does a lot to pass laws to make sure that animals are well cared for, and I work with them all the time. But we built an industry, so now people depend upon stray animals, starving animals, because every time you ask for a donation, you get it. So there are a lot of ways to make money on this. We need to make sure that money supports animal shelters, and that should be made from citations against people who harm animals, not against harming the people out there that are abiding by the laws, both with their animals, with their businesses, and with their lifestyle.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fleiss. I've been here a long time. I originally started coming to the commission meetings probably back in 2003. And Mayor Hahn had a 5-year plan for the Go No Kill, and it's 5 years beyond that in 2013, so our city's nowhere close to that yet. I recognize a few faces from here, actually 3, and Phyllis. And I also like to echo Phyllis's comments regarding Kathy Riordan, and I'm kind of disappointed not to see her here, because she was a positive influence on the department. And it's really disappointing. I'm aware that a lot of people in the community are really disappointed with her being pressured to sign, supposedly. So I hope to see her back. That would be really good for the department. And other than that, I tried to find out at the commission meeting I called last week, and I was told initially it was canceled. And there I saw the agenda on the website, and it's a few stated. It'll show up here, so I'll be back in future commission meetings and speak on what's going on. And lastly, it'd be nice to know if people could be emailed, but notice that there is a meeting going on, and we might have a few more people that's actually here right now in the city, because ultimately, a lot of people that do come to these meetings really have to give input or comments on what's going on in the community, the commissioners at least, so that might be helpful. And I guess that was my last bit. Lastly, General Manager Barnett, I think, I know the previous managers never did this, but to me it seems really important to go to the various city shelters and, just give positive comments to your employees there. To go a long way towards morale. You have some really good employees, stop by the shelters and such, and you can just make some rounds or whatever. And I don't know if you are doing that periodically or not, but when I have asked employees if the general managers are showing up, they always say no. So I think that'd be a positive influence on the department. I know it goes a long way when I've worked in jobs myself, and the boss says you did a good job, or it's really around. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Item number 2 is approval of the minutes of the meeting of February 26, 2013. Are there changes? It's in section 2.
My question, when I was reading this the other day on the board report on the amended changes to the new vote program, did we specify when that was coming back? Did we say 1 month or?
The questions on the trust fund?
No, the new vote program.
I believe it will be back at the next meeting. There's been a lot of work on it, and if you have input offline that we should consider, please do. We've been talking to a lot of different NUHO partners and trying to make sort of sound recommendations based on what we're hearing from them and also what we're experiencing, and trying to monitor the program. It's an enormous headache because there are 190 NUHO partners, and many of them seem to be letting people use their numbers, and so the rules are not as consistent as they need to be to ensure spay and neuter and everything else we want to consider. So, but I hope that Jan will be here next week to present what she and staff have been working on.
Commissioner, the other factor we took into consideration was we knew that the president was not going to be at this meeting, and since it's such an important policy issue, we wanted to make sure that we had a full complement of commission members here at the meeting before we heard that.
Yeah, I didn't really expect it at this meeting, but I just wondered if there was a date that we should expect it, or if it was left open-ended.
We're hoping for the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
And if there's changes that we want to see included in that,
Well, you can send them probably send them to me, copy to Jan Seller. Jan and Maria are working on it because they're the staff that's directly impacted in terms of the record keeping, making sure that everybody's in compliance with the policies. They're doing the lion's share of the work, but we're certainly in a conversation, sort of ongoing conversation about what changes they think they need.
is Jan Seller?
That said, unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town the week of the next meeting. I'm not suggesting that we hold up the item. I just wanted to let you guys know ahead of time. I don't know if it's going to be bare bones or we'll have 4 commissioners in my absence, but just so everyone has notice of that. With regard to the minutes?
Regarding the minutes, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
I
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
Next item, discussion item, response to questions from the residents at the November 27, 2012 commission meeting. That was a meeting we held at the West LA shelter. where the only thing on the agenda was residents asking questions about the commission, and we have prepared answers for those questions.
For responses.
Yes.
Responses.
Yeah, the reason we developed a report is to really kind of memorialize what took place at that meeting, and also to let you know and the public know that we take these comments and these suggestions seriously. So there was a laundry list of just various kinds of issues that were brought up, and you'll see our responses attached to it. We're asking that the board just note and file this report, and then we would be coming back in the summertime with a response to the outstanding items that we still, we've not addressed every single issue, but we're making progress, and we'll give you an update at that time. So if you have any questions on a particular matter, because they're kind of all over the place, we'll be happy to answer them.
Generally, my observation is just that I appreciate this format and this style. I haven't seen it before, but it's tailored in a way that the issues are specified and focused on in a way that sometimes these reports aren't. So I'm not sure that most issues in the meetings are conducive to this, but I like it, and perhaps continue in the future.
And these will be posted on the website?
It's on the website under commission business. First meeting, but I'm sure we can post it generally.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there could be like an easier way for folks to find it in case, because there was a lot of questions.
I'll talk to our system people and see if there's a place they can put it on there.
It's really, the commission business is the place it belongs.
Really?
Maybe we need to highlight how to get the commission business.
Yeah, I would agree. To make it easier to find.
We can definitely talk with Dara about that. You may or may not be aware that our real person who worked on those things got a promotion and went to another department. So we're a little bit struggling with some of those things, but we're working on them.
Right now, the commission business is under the About Us, a little section. Maybe we could put it in its own section where it'd be more prominent.
Well, let's talk to the IT people before we just start making promises also, because we don't have enough space for that many more drop-down menus.
Has the website been changed? Remember you sent us an example and then...
Yeah, and that's one of the slowdowns is that we're ready to make it, but you probably won't see that much difference, except it'll be easier to use. Everything's the same, all the material's the same, but we have to launch it. Dane has time to help us with that.
I think if it is possible to make it more prevalent, it could even be a commission/policy section, because some people don't even realize what the commission does or how it affects policy. And then, I know I'm just kind of thinking broadly, and I'm not sure how to implement it, but perhaps there could also in that section, at least in concept, be some sort of frequently asked question. Because, again, not many people are here on Tuesday mornings, and I think that the public does have a lot of similar questions about policy, and something like this, I think we don't have to answer every single question, but if there are many questions on the same topic that people can ask and kind of interface with the department or the commission through the web, it might be helpful to provide that for them so that they understand where we're coming from and why we're doing things, and it doesn't seem so cryptic or so inaccessible. So maybe we can even agendize something like that.
Yeah, I would love to see some frequently asked questions, because I feel like these are the questions that I get a lot.
Yeah, exactly. These are the questions I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult for people to participate at these meetings, they don't really get the answers.
Right.
Whether they like the answers or not.
Right.
One of them was my question, and it was a very good answer. I appreciate it.
See that? We already got satisfied.
Yeah, I'm satisfied. That's
John is going to prove this
I can. Would you like to go over every item point by point, or do you have any questions on any of the questions and answers? We can do it either way.
I actually wanted to know, so there was the one answer was that this information should be requested via email or letter to the department. Is there any way we can put like the address or or who they should send their letter to right after that,
Yes.
just so that it's more clear, so that if this does end up in the frequently asked questions, then people
Okay.
can have it right there, because I know sometimes that's challenging when you want to
I think
write to the city.
that part of it might be how do you put in a public records request act, and when is it appropriate, when is it needed? Might be part of it.
Okay.
I don't think you have to go point by point on this, but maybe
Yeah.
we have
Yeah, I don't
questions.
think it's Anyone does.
But I like Alana's idea about a facts page. I mean, in my practice, I have something like that, just so people don't bug me. So if people can go if they can go directly to it and access the answers themselves rather than going through a third party, it's better for everybody.
Okay.
Can I ask this is general, just kind of non-agenda type item thing, but it's kind of an administrative thing, since we're talking about the website. I mean, it is true that I'm actually kind of commenting this based on what Jeff Fleiss said, that I never heard that this meeting was going to be canceled. And the schedule of meetings is on the website currently, correct?
Yes.
I think the only thing that changes usually, I mean, you approve a schedule of meetings once a year, and occasionally there's one canceled for lack of quorum, and 4 of them are evening meetings at shelters, but those are, I think, already posted, aren't they?
Right.
Which ones they are?
If Ross finds out there's going to be a lack of a quorum, do you post it as soon as you know that?
As soon as we know it, and that's why I always ask you when I send out the agendas,
Yeah.
are you sure you're going to be there?
Right.
Because in a case like today, if you had an emergency or, something else happened and there was not a quorum, then we have to post it immediately.
Yeah.
And normally, like the next meeting is on a Tuesday, but Monday's a holiday. So it's imperative that we know that information at least by Friday or Thursday. And I was going to bring that up, but I guess being we're down to 3 commissioners at every meeting until we get or 4, excuse me, when everybody's here. If one's going to be absent, it's really important that we know early that we can cancel a meeting, because oftentimes I have to show up here the day of, and it's kind of embarrassing to tell people who came downtown, especially when there's an appeal, that we don't have a quorum and you have to come back because they've already paid for parking. So it's really important for you guys to let us, and ladies, let us know that if you're not going to be here, to let us know. We only have certain reasons you can't be here, death, birth, infinity, whatever.
Does the
I saw that show.
department set a parking for the public if they want to come to this meeting in P2 or anything like that?
Pardon me?
Does the department set up parking for the public in
No.
parking?
No, the city policy is we don't pay for parking for anybody, at least for this department.
Anybody's council meetings.
Yeah, I just didn't know if the department.
If you'd like to say anything, fill out a card, you're welcome to come up. Anybody want to come up? Anybody want to say anything?
Yeah.
Phyllis, come on down.
Yes. Any of the council officers will arrange parking when any of their constituents are coming to a meeting down here if they call in advance. As you know, but you have to give them enough time to get down to the parking guards and get the information down there. Maybe that's something that you might want to put on your site, or at least notify.
Another thing about the commission section of the site.
Yeah, just that if you can't promise them, at least you could say if you're planning, you might let your council member know that you're coming.
Thank you. I didn't even know that.
I think that'd be good for the frequently asked questions.
You can pay for parking.
In the cheapskate section. You never
refund evidence sent by councilman a letter.
If there's a meeting on April 16, I don't think I'll be able to attend that one.
Third, 10, no, it's the 10th and the 24th, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ninth.
That's the third, not the second one.
Now, it is kind of off the subject, but I'll make an exception this time. But the next meeting,
Before Doug can say a word.
yeah, before Doug, the next meeting is going to be during the week before Easter, and it's also going to be Passover. So if anybody's not going to be able to make that,
Be sure to look also.
yeah, let me know. I was late this morning because I stopped by the cathedral, see if they put in my name.
No white smoke yet.
I know.
I'm bringing marshmallow chickens to that. I hope we have it.
No food allowed in these rooms, sorry.
I don't think they're edible.
Peeps?
Yeah. Have you ever eaten them?
Yeah.
They're not food. Decorative items.
I have no questions about the question and answer section.
Neither do I. My questions have been answered.
Okay, this is not a voting item, it was just file. So the next item, there are no board reports, or report of the general manager.
As you heard, and I want to acknowledge that Commissioner Riordan has stepped down from the commission. She may be the longest serving commissioner we've had. Certainly, she's been an important figure in the time that I've been here. Matter of fact, my relationship with Commissioner Riordan began before I started work here when I was in the recruitment process, and she was an important factor in my decision to come here. So I just want to acknowledge the fine work that she's done. She and I have talked about some other ways that she might be involved in serving the animals, and we'll see what happens as time goes on how she decides to re-engage on behalf of the animals. So on to Department of Business. We're hopeful that the Managed Hiring Committee will actually meet on Friday, March the 15th. As I told you before, our staff is just working beyond belief because they're not only doing their normal work, but they're making up for vacant positions. We have requests for unfreezes for 6 ACTs, 1 management analyst, 2, a systems programmer, that's our an accounting clerk, and some as-needed positions. So those are all positions that have been vacant for quite some period of time. We have some critical field positions that are making it unsafe for the public and the animals. So we've been pushing to try to get before the Managed Hiring Committee, but that means they have to meet. And so we're hopeful that that's going to happen on the 15th, and that we'll be given permission to fill some of these vacancies. It's been a very busy time for Jan and her media team. They do things to promote the animals in the shelters. On March the 6th, she attended the NBC LA News at noon and talked about the foster program and adoptions. We're looking for different ways to sort of recognize and commend staff and to motivate staff and to energize them on our foster program. We're also, in terms of staff, planning to have a picnic for the staff in the spring, an all-staff picnic. And just to acknowledge the work that people are trying to do under very difficult circumstances. On Thursday, March the 7th, 4,000 high school journalism students were in Los Angeles for a national news conference. 2 high schools, one from Greenfield, Illinois, and the other from Miami, Florida, picked animal services for stories related to spay, neuter, and volunteering. So Jan met with both high schools to discuss these topics. On Saturday, March the 9th, the Helpful Honda Day was at the West LA shelter, and Honda gave $500 to offset adoption so that we could give a reduced rate of $30 reduction for dog or cat. And they also gave out free collars and leashes. There were 15 adoptions that day, and another Helpful Honda Day is scheduled for next Saturday at East Valley and at South LA. So with the same kind of thing, they were underwriting a discount for those adoptions. On March the 10th, there was a wolf stock happening at Roxbury Park. That was the Pet Care Foundation. This is an annual thing they do. That was the Pet Care Foundation, mobile pet adoption. Both South LA and West LA brought animals. There were 16 animals taken out and 9 were adopted, which is really good for a mobile adoption event.
Don't read the next part, Brenda. It's sort of copied and pasted from another. Yeah, different one.
So we have money for the Apollo program, which was money that came from the Heigl Foundation that was matched out of the Spay Neuter Trust Fund by the Commission some time ago. That back. So we talked about here, and you actually approved changing the contract because it was limited to the Tacoma and Sylmar zip codes. So you approved making it citywide. But when we met with Councilmember Alarcon and the Paul Committee, there was objection to that because there's a feeling that so much pit bull spay neuter is needed in those 2 zip codes. So we went back and met with Terry Austin from the Amanda Foundation, and she assured us that she could do the number of pit bull spay neuters in those 2 zip codes. Unfortunately, at this point, since January 2013 when we met, the Amanda Foundation has only sterilized 10 pit bulls and pit bull mixes in those 2 zip codes. So we have to look at this because the Heigl Foundation has asked us to use the money up and to use it up quickly and not to let it just keep dragging out. So we'll need to be, John's been monitoring this on a weekly basis. It's just not happening. Councilmember Alarcon has helped publicize pit bull spay neuter. I've been out into some community meetings out in Sylmar trying to also promote the free spay neuter for the pit bulls, and it's just not happening on the timeline that the Heigls would prefer. So just to let you know that that's something that we're aware of and that we're working on, and we'll see what we can do next to try to step that up a little bit and come into compliance with that.
Has anyone done any door-to-door outreach on that? Like literally gone door-to-door on those zip
Wasn't
codes?
Alarcon going to have some work done on that?
Yeah, Commissioner, Councilman Alarcon is going to be providing support, both locations. He has a field office that they can use the mobile spay and neuter van, just kind of park it out there. He's going to assist with the outreach at various community organizations, including churches. So when I spoke to Terry, the whole concept of doing door-to-door within a particular blocks like you guys do is something that she will be doing as well. So it's all part of the package. But Terry and talking talking with her, has the support she needs from the council office to do this outreach. She doesn't need anything from us at this time. She kind of has all that, the marketing, the outreach.
But it's not
covered.
happening.
Yeah, I just don't understand why it's not happening, just because the truck's there, no one's showing up.
No, the truck is there and she's fully booked. It's just that she's not focused on pit bulls. She's filling her appointments.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that she's not doing spay neuter. She's definitely doing spay neuter. But we asked her to focus on this grant and to comply with what the Heigls wanted and to focus on pit bulls.
Is there excess demand?
Well, if you go out and do appointments somewhere, you see a lot of pit bulls.
Well, I
but-
mean, is there excess demand? People bring their animals there, and they said, no, we're going to neuter the Chihuahua, and then you guys are going to...
I have not heard of that at all.
I'm just wondering...
Yeah. It's a bad...
I mean, just to say it's just not happening doesn't really tell us very much.
Well,
I just wondered if you knew.
no, I don't know, but I do think that we should ask Councilmember Alarcon if they've gotten Danny Trejo involved, because it's going to take somebody speaking to the community that the community, will be respectful of. And there's someone like Danny Trejo, who's a good friend of Councilmember Alarcon, says, guys, we got to spay neuter these pit bulls. It's more likely that it's going to happen.
That's helpful, but I mean, what we've seen in Pets for Life is that pit bull owners are the high-hanging fruit. They are really difficult to reach, and so it really takes a lot of relationship building, and it's a lot of door-to-door outreach, and that is when you start to see the high numbers trickle in, which is what we do. So if Alarcon's office wants assistance with training, I'd be more than happy to have his staff come walk with our staff to see what we do. It'd be free training. That's what we do for a lot of animal advocacy organizations. So we have a whole book on it, how to get pit bull owners. I mean, we have Smart paid almost $1 million to make those toolkits. So we can give it to them if they want some of the toolkits.
I think we should make that known to Councilmember Alarcon and to Terry Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really the door-to-door outreach is like the critical.
And we also need to let the Heigl Foundation know what we're doing.
Who do you talk to in Alarcon's office? Who's the contact?
Well, we can talk to Jose or to the councilman himself.
I just wondered how long it was.
Is it Jose?
Sandoval?
Yes.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah. I know him. I can talk to him. I can definitely reach out to him. and
That'd
see.
be great if you do that.
Yeah. I think it'd be powerful too if the department also lets them know that this is something that
Sure, we'll do that.
I can also support with.
Yeah, we would like to make the Heigl Foundation happy by using the grant money that they allotted us, and also it would be such a valuable thing to have happen in those two zip codes. The pit bulls running loose out there are dangerous to people driving cars, to people riding horses. I mean, it's quite...
No, it's a big problem, and that's
It's a big
actually
problem.
one of the zip codes that Pets for Life is probably going to move to or start working out once we feel our work is done in Royal Heights. It's next on the list.
Right.
So it is a huge problem.
And that's all I have.
Any public comment? Public comment?
I just gave you a card.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't see you. Phyllis Daugherty.
Phyllis Daugherty, Animal Issues Movement. Jose's been in contact with me twice in the last couple of weeks and said he didn't get response from the department, and I've started helping him, but he's forming his own nonprofit to get out there, and he needs a lot of help. The reason that you have so many pit bulls and they aren't getting the spay neuter, they don't want to. Dog fighting is alive and well, however much we want to ignore it. And these are they breed, their breeding is where the money is, and the game lines are being bred, and then the ones that are not of game quality are being sold off or given away, and those are the ones that are out in the streets. The other thing I want to mention, since I have a little time, is that Miss Riordan did not step down. Please be very, very clear on that. She received a call from the mayor's office that told her that she would either put in a letter or they would use their boilerplate and not to raise a stink about it, or they would just put in the boilerplate letter that it was like the mafia. It's nothing personal, it's just business, and she was going to be replaced with someone who had more to offer. So be very clear on it. She, by the way, just one second, she did not resign. She submitted a letter thanking everyone, and it clearly did not resign. So as far as she's concerned, she's never received any notice except that the vice president position is clear.
Thank you.
Agenda comments
1 minute.
I was just going to mention, I helped promote Dog Man's Free dog training socialization class policy every Sunday, and it's been with pit bulls. And he's actually a really good person, probably a list of the canvassing, because he really talks to the community people really well in regards to dogs and such. So we might be somebody on the contact. He's not a Danny Trejo status, obviously, but potentially he can communicate with people in the community better than most people out there.
What was the name? No,
He goes by the monitor, Dogman.
He works down in South Allen.
Okay, he comes out there.
Thank you.
There's no more public comments. The next item, no, we already talked about the availability for next, the meeting of the 26th. So if you know you're not going to be here, let me know as quickly as possible. And that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn? Does anybody have anything else?
Before we adjourn, like the general manager, I also want to take note of Commissioner Riordan's service. It was characterized by a dedication of time and energy and commitment and love, truly deep love for the animals in this city, and integrity. And I relied for years on her insight and her institutional memory. And I would hope that if she's agreeable at some point, we could officially honor her service, because she has really made a commitment to helping animals in the city, and I think that we should at the very least formally say thank you to her.
I agree. She should be committed.
So I'll speak to the president about that. Other than that, I'll make a motion to leave.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everybody.